Hello, my podcast people. This is estate planning and asset protection attorney Leslie Marenco bringing you another episode of Having Fun with Death and Taxes. Today, I am very excited because I am joined by my good friend and colleague, Saidin. Saidin, por favor.
Hi, Saidin. Nice to be on the podcast.
Saidin. Oh, yeah,
well, Saidin.
I was going to say, that is the most whitewashed Saidin.
Hey, listen, it could be Lucifer, devil, or Satan. So
I like it. No, Saidin.
Saidin is Spanish.
Saidin.
So,
no.
Saidin.
And introduce yourself. You are a very sophisticated estate planning attorney down the street from here.
I try to be.
Tables. Yes, you are. This is why we're going to talk about the topic we're going to talk about today, which wasn't easy to find somebody to come on the podcast and talk about because, you know, some topics are easier and more general estate planning related. And there are some that have more complex issues.
Yes.
And this is one of them. So thank you. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. And it's also, you know, it's probably difficult to find people that were alive when these things happen.
Bueno, no, but I don't need them to be alive. So today we're going to be talking about Joe Robbie. I will introduce him just a little for, I don't know, any of the children that are listening to us that don't even know who this is. And actually, I will say when I first moved to Miami, everybody kept saying, because I'm not from here. I know everybody thinks I'm from here, but I'm not. And everybody would always refer to this as the Joe Robbie Stadium and the Joe Robbie Stadium. And I don't know anything about American football. Well, it took me a while to figure out what was this Joe Robbie Stadium everybody was talking about that did not exist on, you know.
Yeah, it was not on Google Maps anymore.
It was not on my Apple Maps. So, well, some fun facts about Joe Robbie that actually you just brought to my attention too. He was a politician.
He was a politician.
That he was a lawyer. So, but not our type of lawyer, right?
No.
He didn't have all the insight of the shit show that would happen here if he didn't do a little bit more planning, but he was a lawyer and clearly was successful at doing multiple things to have the money in the 60s to buy the Miami Dolphins or to make the stadium and all of this. These are not small projects. These are not, little things to do with his own money.
Yeah, so in 1965, this is how he was able to do the Dolphins. He met in 1965, and I guess one of his friends was the commissioner for the American Football League at that point in time.
Good friends to have.
And it was $7.5 million. That's how much it cost to build it was an expansion franchise at that point in time. So he didn't have all the money. But he did have a very good friend, Danny Thomas, who was also American Lebanese. Danny Thomas, for anybody that doesn't know, was one of the founders of the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
Oh,
so
there's all kind of fun facts.
I know there was a lot of things, and I started kind of dig in. A lot of really cool information came to light. I am a nerd, so if you already didn't figure that out by now. So yeah, Danny Thomas actually put up a lot of the money. He did. He actually got out pretty soon after the Dolphins were formed. And I think by 1969, already Joe Robbie had gotten full control of the team. He had about 87.5% of the team, and then there were some other partners, but very small minority. But he had 87.5% of the team by 1969.
And I heard this was like the heyday of the Miami Dolphins. Like they did really well during Mr. Robbie's tenure here. This is not what I hear people complaining about now. They did well back then.
Well, he did a very smart play. He hired Coach Don Shula.
Okay, this is the Shula era.
The Shula era, and when he brought them in, that's when they started winning. So in 1972, we had the perfect season. Basically undefeated until we got to the Super Bowl, and then they creamed us.
Oh, sad.
But we did win the Super Bowl after.
Okay.
I think it was a couple years after. Not that I'm the biggest football fan, but I did read enough, and I do remember, growing up in Miami, this was like a big thing, and everybody kind of remember everything and everything that came around. Now, I'm from Hialeah, so Don Shula was from Miami Lakes, and he actually still lived there for a long period of time until he was older. So
look at that, guys.
So in Miami Lakes,
we're getting all kinds of Miami history here too.
Yeah, so you had the Don Shula Hotel, which was in Miami Lakes. You had there was a golf course. He had a gym. So there was a lot of kind of connections with, between Hialeah and Miami Lakes in that whole area with the Dolphins. So
And the stadium is just right around por allá.
it's in Miami Gardens.
It's in Miami Gardens.
Right.
So, all right. Look at that. A whole thing through
It was
memory lane here. I like it.
It is
I
memory
like it.
lane.
And so Mr. Robbie ends up dying in 1990 of
did.
heart failure. So at least I'll give him this. That
Yes.
seems a little more unexpected than some of the people we talk about on this podcast. That, like Aretha Franklin, for example, that gets cancer and still decides to, do some bullshit and hide it under the seat cushion. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like this seems a little more like he died unexpectedly of heart failure, right?
Yes.
So at least we'll give him a little bit of a
We give him the
pass.
benefit of the doubt.
We'll give him the benefit of the
And he
doubt.
did some planning. I mean, after all,
did
he
some-
did planning.
He did do something. He did do something. We talked a little bit about the assets, and we could talk about the plan. I mean, I would say it's a pretty basic plan for most people these days, I guess. Like it's not exactly what you think of as the gazillionaire's estate plan, but he did do some planning.
He did some planning, but as many of our clients that we probably experience very often, control freaks. We had people that basically want to hold on to everything until the moment that they're, you have to basically pry it open from their cold hands, right?
Yeah.
And this is the same situation. He basically, he still had 87.9 or 87.5% of the team at his death.
And the whole damn stadium.
Yes, and he had the stadium, and it kind of went through his portable will into his revocable trust.
Qué lindo.
Muy lindo. Muy lindo.
I mean, like, very basic, guys.
Very basic.
basic.
Like I said, at least he did some planning.
I mean, some lawyer got a hold of him.
Some lawyer.
His manager made him go sit down with somebody, at
Yes.
least, for a couple hours. Like, de ahí, doesn't look like very much more was
No,
done.
nothing else was
But
done.
of course, like, something I always say, because he's a business owner. I think by the nature of South Florida, right? We have a lot of business owner clients. Like anybody that's amassed, certain levels of wealth down here, it wasn't because they were generally CEO of Dow DuPont. Like that's not the industry we have down here, right? So we have a lot of business owner clients. And I would say generally, these are not risk-averse people, right? Business owners by their very nature are not sitting around losing sleep over the corporate document they didn't have a lawyer review. Oh, I didn't go back to see Saidin for the, fifth time to talk about that grat he told me I should. No. They literally lose 0 minutes of sleep over these things, right? So
They don't care about that.
they don't care about that.
That doesn't make them money.
He's like, they don't care about any of this shit. Like,
They don't care about it.
you're right. It doesn't make them any money.
It doesn't make them any money. To them, it's just like, oh, he's bothering me, right? He's sending me an
killed me
email
off already.
to
Right.
remind me that I
Yes.
haven't done something.
Uh-huh.
And
And I'm
that's
not dead
basically
yet.
what happened. I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet. They're already writing me off, and that's, I think, probably what happened. A lot of what happened here was that
sure.
he wanted to hold on to the Dolphins for as long as possible. He did want the team to stay within the family, which is, a very typical scenario. We do have a lot of clients that, they envision that the business is going to go on to the next generation. The problem is not always ideal, and he maybe should have thought, if that is going to be, if this is going to be something that is going to be continue in the family, then we need to think about how is it really going to be managed going forward.
Practically speaking.
And also, how do we deal with the tax consequence?
Right.
Because we have a very illiquid assets. How are we going to pay the tax when it's due? 9 months after.
Right. Because the law back then, in 1990, when he passed away, was the coupon, I call it. The IRS coupon that they love to give because they're very generous. The IRS is very, very generous.
Super.
super generous. So much more generous now than before. The coupon was only $600,000 whopping dollars, $600,000.
$600,000.
So everything, tell our lovely podcast audience who has no concept of what the hell we're talking about right now, because we have lawyers and non-lawyers and certainly not a whole lot of estate planning lawyers, I imagine, listening to us.
Yeah.
So what is the concept of the estate tax exemption?
So the estate tax exemption is basically what you can get for free.
The coupon.
So this is what the government allows you to transfer to your heirs without charging you any tax. Never mind the fact that it's all after income tax. But hey,
That's a whole separate.
we digressed.
That is a whole separate conversation.
But this is kind of like their way of saying, okay, you owe us a tax for you being able to transfer your assets to somebody else.
Right.
So it is a transfer tax.
That's right.
And that's exactly what the estate tax. Now, back in those days, it was 55%. So if anybody's complaining about our generous 15 million exemption and 40% estate tax that we have right now,
Could be much worse.
it could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot
Okay?
worse.
So, 600K and rest 55%.
I mean, it was a far harsher tax regime back then
Absolutely.
than it is now, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. And so I do want to break down this slight thing of, because everybody understands income tax. Well, understands. Nobody understands income tax. But I mean, everybody generally, general population understands, okay, I make $1, and if I make over a certain amount, et cetera, I got to pay income tax, right?
Right.
Whether you're on a W-2 or somebody gives you a K-1 because you own a part of a company or whatever, or you're on a 1099, whatever it is, right? But when you pass away, the IRS is not asking, at least not to the estate at the moment, that's a whole different conversation, how much money the estate earned. What we're talking about is more, what are the value of the assets?
Correct. Date of death is basically like a snapshot. So somebody passes away, and on the date of death, what are your assets worth? And then based on that, we have the exemption, which is what I said.
Coupon.
What you are allowed to transfer from paying tax. And anything after that, right now, is 40%. Back in those days, 55%. So
And
that's
also
basically
tell
how
our
it
lovely
works.
audience that even the apartment in Thailand, you know,
it's worldwide.
It's worldwide. It's worldwide. No me vengan con, no,
Yeah.
but that's, in Vietnam.
Pied a terre,
Yes.
in Paris.
Yes. Oh, man. Yes, exactly.
Well, that is actually something that I encounter with my clients all the time, because they have,
All the time.
they decide to buy, they thought it was a great investment to buy, a nice little apartment in Barcelona. And, and they think, well, but that's in another country. Why do I have to be concerned?
Yeah. Why is the IRS metido en mi problema? Like, no,
Right.
it's-
And I'm like, well, you're a U.S. citizen. Doesn't matter where you live. If you have that little blue passport, we're going to have to pay income tax on a worldwide basis and also state tax if something happens to you. Never mind all the other issues with probate and transfers in multiple jurisdictions, be that as it may.
Right, because of course what they're going to tell you is, I don't even understand. It's going to take a year and a half for me to get that asset in Spain and whatever.
Correct.
How is it that I owe money here within 9 months?
Yes.
IRS don't care.
They do not.
They're like the honey badger. They do not care. Like, no importa.
Yeah, they really don't care. But yeah, so it's kind of like and obviously we encounter this issue all the time where we only find out about these assets. Oh, I just bought it over the summer. So it's just something that comes up completely after the fact.
In casual conversation.
Very few times do we get asked ahead of time, hey, I want to buy this apartment in Barcelona. What do you think I should do? So we're always dealing with
That would
after
be a
the
perfect
fact.
world.
Yeah.
That would be a lovely, perfect world.
So we have to basically figure things out.
We become auditors. Like, I don't know when it became part of my job to like dig into my clients, like,
Really?
are you not?
Auditors? I think we're more like
Auditors.
janitors. we're
The
cleaning
audit
after them.
first and then the janitor next.
We're cleaning after them. That's how I feel like, because it's at the end of the day is they, most of the time they don't, since they don't reach out to us for any advice, and we're basically dealing with it because something happened and this came to light.
Right. I'll give you a perfect example. Like, not more than a week ago, I have a client call me and they're like, oh, we need to talk to you about asset protection. And it wasn't even that they call me. We call all of our clients. Like, it's usually a couple times a year. That's either a January or a July, the months that were slightly slower. And they said something to the effect of like, oh, we have these like golf carts in Bimini, because we're there all the time, they jump on the boat, they go vacation, or da-da-da-da. So they're worried about the asset protection for the golf cart. And I'm like, you own what in Bimini? Like, Never mind that they never told us they own the house of Bimini now, or I'm like, pero hello, guys, we told you, like, I don't understand. There's a whole the golf cart.
Again, so that's what I'm saying. We're janitors. We're basically cleaning up after them. And we only find out because it slips.
Yes. Literally.
It slips.
Literally, they're worried about the golf cart. And I was like, bro, how much? I mean, I'm sure you can do some damage with the golf cart. Pero, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, especially if they're street legal.
So, okay. So, for everyone in the podcast universe, we have an estate worth a shit ton of money. That's a legal term, guys. That's a legal and absolutely
legal
defined.
definition.
Legal definition. We have $600,000 is our only free ride. It's our only thing that the IRS is going to let us slide with. We have 9 months to pay this lovely tax, which maybe to some people, I don't know who, seems like a lot of time, but it really goes by in a flash. And this leads us to, and we have a 40%, back then 55%
correct
tax for every dollar above that coupon, right? So what do we immediately have?
We have a liquidity issue.
We have a liquidity problem. I mean,
and it really, it's really sad because obviously he was planning on something called the marital exemption or the marital.
And tell our lovely audience what that is.
So basically, we kind of view spouses. It's very generous.
Very generous.
We're not going to tax you until both of your spouses die. So basically, it's a second to die. So think of it as
I could give you $1 trillion if you're my spouse, and there's no tax.
There's no tax.
Wow, the IRS is very romantic.
As long as we are,
very romantic.
as long as I'm a U.S. citizen.
Bueno, coño, sí.
Yeah. So, just making sure.
You're Bobby, relax. You want this for my green card?
Hey, we run into that quite often. So, as long as the survivor is the one that has to be a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, of course. You don't want to abscond with all my money.
Correct.
When you're not even a U.S. person.
So basically, we have the unlimited marital deduction. So it's a deferment of the tax. So it doesn't mean that you're not paying the tax. You're just basically deferring until the second person dies.
Which is nice.
Which is nice.
Which is nice.
And usually it kind of works out because usually there's about a 10-year period of time between one spouse and the second.
I thought
I'm about to be married.
I was like a 10-year. I was like, is this going to get into like, la novia that he's about to marry is, 40 years younger?
We can get into the Black Widows and all that. But no. So usually on average between the first, and we always go the husband first.
But for sure.
Because we're usually the ones that.
Yeah. I mean.
So it's usually, between the husband dies and the wife dies, it's usually about 10 years. I think that's what he was counting on, that the wife was going to survive 10 years. But what happened is...
some planning.
Right. What happened was that he died in 1990 and she died in 1991.
Imagínate. This is bad luck, man.
Yes. Not a lot of time there. To make matters worse, what happened is, in Florida, we have something called the elective share. So if the surviving spouse doesn't get enough of her, of what she's supposed to be receiving under the estate planning documents, then she has 6 months to claim the elective share, which she did. And that means that 30% of the estate will go to her.
Yep.
She was not getting anything from the team, so she was not receiving any shares of the team. All that was actually being transferred to the kids. Obviously, something happened that made
she was
her
like,
upset.
Not so fast.
Maybe it could be that the 3 kids out of the 9 that were supposed to be the trustees and administering all the assets fired her son.
The favorite.
Perhaps. That was kind of like the general manager of the team. And as a result, there was some kind of
hostile takeover.
Yes, there was some kind of hostile takeover, And she didn't seem to be pleased by that.
And this isn't a blended family.
It's not a blended family, by
Which
the way.
I was surprised at, right? Because
No.
when you first read 11 kids, which the 9 are still alive and all of
Yep.
this, you're like, oh, how many,
Right.
No, Elizabeth had all 11 kids.
Yes.
Coño.
And there was TV back then.
Yeah. There was American football.
There was American football, there was TV, there was entertainment. But they still had, they were very Catholic family. She was Irish Catholic, he was Lebanese Catholic. And
Yeah.
so they had 11 kids, 2 of them died.
What there
before.
was very good, birth control.
Absolutely not.
wasn't.
But,
Who wants
hey,
that?
I'm Catholic. But as a result, you had 9 kids basically vying for the interest in the Dolphins. 3 were in charge. So obviously that kind of,
And of course, like,
created animosity.
I'm sure when she sat down with the attorney and they were like, well, you're getting everything kind of, sort of through these complicated trust structures. And I'm sure it kind of freaked her out a little bit. I'm assuming she also felt like, she also felt the liquidity problem.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe, right? Like,
Yeah.
so all of a sudden she's going, I can elect into what? And perhaps there's a lot of pressure because there's a time bomb on this. There's okay, we need to make certain decisions, and psychology is becomes more important than rational thinking and planning, and decisions are made that.
But I think this was, from what I was reading, it seemed like she really got pissed off that the son.
This is just spite. Are you saying?
And the reason why I'm saying that is because she wrote off.
Fuck you.
She wrote off the other kids. So the 3 that were, that were the trustees of that trust were writing off her will. So, yes. So that's why
she
I
called
think
her estate ready attorney.
Yes.
Said, quítame estos tres que
Yes.
ungrateful little. Interesting. Got it.
So yeah, so
this
the
was more
3,
than that.
so the 3 that were trustees under his revocable trust got written off her estate plan. So,
I see.
so yeah, the plot thickens.
The plot did thicken. The plot definitely did thicken. But so we have this liquidity issue
Yes.
because we have the Dolphins as an entity itself.
And the stadium.
And the stadium. And from what I read, there wasn't a whole lot of, marketable securities. There wasn't a whole lot of shares in anything else. There wasn't 18 pieces of rental property at a holding company that, she can manage. So we do have an illiquidity issue.
Yep.
And now we have people getting a little anxious, people getting a little who's controlling what, who's in charge of what do I get? And then also the people that are in charge of the trusts that are now going to manage these assets are also who has to vote here? Who, there's no more dad, kind of just
Right.
same thing in the Lakers, that is the final decision maker and that really manages everything. Now we have more of the family governance issues that we run into sometimes with these big companies when somebody passes away,
Right.
and no clear governance structure.
So apparently the dad was like the zookeeper. So he kept all the animals at bay.
Yes.
Maybe
He
with
kept
a
them nicely
prod.
fed.
But hey, he kept them at bay, right? But once he was out of the picture, I think it was like a free-for-all.
Right.
And
When everybody's on their best behavior because they know, right? They know dad. This is dad's.
right.
We work here and we helped build it, but this is really dad. And as long as dad is here, we're all gonna, we're all gonna
Right.
play nice. We're all gonna play nice in the sandbox. But the second there's no dad, I mean,
Yeah.
I hate you. You got the pony. I didn't get the pony. I don't know.
Yeah, no. You were dad's favorite, or whatever the case might be. But so obviously there was a lot of we have the liquidity, so it's kind of like a short squeeze.
So on paper, very wealthy.
Very wealthy.
But
Very
in
wealthy.
reality, cash poor, asset rich, cash
Yes.
poor.
Yes.
And the IRS, correct me if I'm wrong, does not take stadium tickets, future
They do
stadium.
not.
They do not hey, we can't pay you right now,
No.
but we'll pay you in the future, but we'll give you premium seats. Are there boxes? Box
No,
seats?
for the IRS, they're not allowed to
They're
take
not
them.
into that? They're not into that?
they specifically have a rule actually that they can't take gifts.
No, not even $25. Not even like a poquito de chocolate.
No.
Nothing.
They're so
Nothing.
they're very strict. They're very strict on
You can't
that.
send if you could even get them on the phone, you can't send your agent gifts, to the PO box. To the PO box in Kansas
they won't
somewhere.
take it. They won't take it. But so you have this liquidity crunch, and then obviously the three kids, the chosen ones.
The chosen.
Apparently the older siblings got really mad because there were negotiations with Mr. Huizenga, who was the savior, the nemesis.
But
And specifically in this circumstance, I think there was a lot of emotional aspects to the fact that because Wayne Huizenga had actually asked to buy 50% of the stadium before.
Oh.
And Joe had said no. And
is there more to that? Do we know if there's like...
I don't have all the details behind
Okay.
that. The only thing...
This wasn't just like, I don't like your deal. This was more like, no.
Go,
I don't want to be partners with you.
Yeah,
Kinda.
go run your blockbusters. Well, I don't know if exactly all his wealth was tied, but one of the most famous businesses for him and his family was Blockbuster. Wow. And then he, waste management. So waste management was Enterprises.
Okay.
So.
Is he alive? We used to do a
No, he
podcast,
died.
Excellent.
But he planned. All his companies were public. So
Okay.
Blockbuster was a public company.
Not
So
as
Waste Management is a public company.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God, how interesting. So there was already a little bit of a rivalry there
yes.
because Mr. Robbie was not interested in being partners with Mr. Huizenga.
And apparently Joe Robbie was kind of like what's the technical term? Hard ass.
Oh, yes.
And didn't seem to get along with a lot of people. Right. You can't just sell it to whoever. You actually have to get somebody that will be approved as an owner.
Yep.
They also made some changes. Apparently, the league at some point had specific restrictions on who can actually own the team. And perhaps some of the planning issues that we're encountering this problem is because they didn't allow a trust to own the team. So I think
and therefore would hide the real ownership potentially.
Right, so
they're like, no.
It was not until 2015 that they changed the rules where they allowed trust to own. And to actually even change what is a percentage that can be owned. I was kind of reading into that today, which was also very interesting. Yeah. So it kind of also forced it to kind of go through probate, which we always tell our clients to avoid.
Wild.
Because of the hassle of going through probate,
Totally.
Public limelight, especially when you're dealing with, significant wealth. And also that everything is subject to court supervision.
It takes forever. It takes forever.
Especially in Miami.
Especially, yes. We have wonderful judges, very wonderful judges, but it still takes forever.
Yeah.
We also have a lot of opposing counsels that force things to take forever too.
We also have just have a lot of people.
Yes, we do. We do. This is not exactly a small county.
Right. Like, for example, I had a probate. I remember that when my my wife's grandfather passed away, Martin County. So that's 2 hours north of here.
Con los gringos.
Con los gringos. I was able to do the probate within 3 months and a week.
Does nobody live in Martin County? Where's Martin?
Exactly. So let me put it into perspective. When I go to Martin County, the average age drops by about 40 years.
Wow.
So it's much older population, okay? Everything is kind of further away, and everybody plays golf. Yes. So.
I would have actually thought okay, the one judge that does divorces is also the probate judge. It's
I'm sure.
So it's all relative because even though you have you only have one judge.
You have one
still
circuit
gonna
judge.
take a year and a half. No, that's not what happened.
Oh no! It was very quick. It was very quick.
I see.
And they actually pick up the phone. It was
Pick
it
up
was,
the
It was
phone.
nice.
That is
They don't have like the automated. I mean, they don't have the specific forms to the county like we have here. Yeah, none of that.
just no.
No.
Okay.
If it's good for everybody else, it's good for us.
And Judge is bien relajado.
Oh.
He's like, I understand
You know,
what you want. I'm good.
You know the
Good.
restrictions that we have in the letters of administration.
Yes,
You know,
and yeah.
no sales without court or authorization. Nothing like that. The letters of administration was blank, just had the judge's signature on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
That's what happens in all the counties.
Martin County people, but this is not the case
No,
in Miami-Dade.
not the case.
For the record, do not play these games. It's not going to work out well. Like
It won't.
No, not at all. So then we have this illiquidity problem.
Yep.
We are asset rich, very cash poor. We have 3 kids in charge. Mom is pissed, and then mom is dead.
Yes.
And now we're going to sell to our arch nemesis,
Yes, Mr. Huizenga.
Mr. Huizenga.
And yes, and he got a great deal because apparently from the research I made, well,
Yes.
the research I conducted, he sold the team and the stadium was sold for $109 million,
It's a bargain.
which by some estimates,
A bargain.
$115 million is what the stadium alone was worth.
Uh-huh.
So yes, there was a lot of apparently there was a lot of debt on the books for the Dolphins and also for the stadium itself. But even taking that into account, that was a fire sale if there was ever one.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have, those kind of circumstances. It was a shit show.
It was a total shit show. I can only imagine. Because if mom dies in 91, right? Now we have 9 months to, for real, start valuing these things, right? And to pay a very large tax. I'm imagining somewhere around 45, 50 million bucks.
47. It was between 47 and 49 million dollars in tax. So from the cash.
This is not in, like I said, guys, this is not in stadium seats, future box seats to the IRS. This is not in future royalties on the T-shirts. Like, no. This is cash money.
Yep.
Cash money now.
Cash money now.
Cash money now.
Yeah, it was.
And so you see the problem. You see the problem.
You see the problem, and so that's definitely something that was another issue. Well, that was the main issue that they had.
Definitely. And even though I get this question all the time, like, yes, you can file for an extension.
Yes.
I mean, that's all nice and good. The money is still owed and penalties are now accruing and interest is accruing and
Correct.
right?
Right.
So you can get a 6-month extension. Y no te creas que this is years of extension here, guys. Like this just compounds on itself, right?
So you could do, obviously, if in some illiquid estates like that one, you can do an extension to pay over years. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think back in those days, I think it was 10 to 15 years. You can actually pay it over. However, you still have this huge tax liability. You might have a federal tax lien imposed on you during that whole time.
Absolutely. So,
So-
they're going to get paid. Like they're yeah.
So, but that also creates an issue if you need to go to a bank to
Yes.
obtain financing. And apparently, from the finances of the team and everything else, they were barely breaking even. So, even
That's
though
right.
it's a successful
I mean,
franchise,
not only is there no money to pay the estate tax, let's say the liquid money, but the team actually needs to,
it needs working
money
capital.
Right. It needs
You need
working
to pay.
We're kind of, burying the lead here. You're absolutely right. It needs constant working capital.
Yes.
Mr. Shula's salary doesn't get paid for nothing or whatever.
No. And you got to pay Don Marino.
Yes. That
Okay.
guy. Who
One of
was
the
playing
highest-
football in 1990? I have no idea.
Well, he was one of the highest paid quarterbacks.
And was he still quarterback in 1990?
Yeah.
Coño, he needs to be paid. He's also not taking stadium seats.
He's not.
He is
He's
not.
not. So yeah,
He doesn't
they
want
need to-
more T-shirts with his own name on it. No.
So that's another. So it's funny because a lot of times when we're talking to clients, many times they forget that a operating business needs working capital, right?
Absolutely.
So and that happens even when somebody tells us, oh, I want to invest in this business. I already figure out that we need this much money to rent a space, this much money for equipment, and I'm like, okay, and what about 6 months of expenses? Dealing with labor and everything else.
Sure.
And it's like, oh, no, I'm going to start making money from day one.
Inmediatamente.
And I'm like,
Very optimistic, these business
extremely,
owners.
right?
They are.
I mean, if it's something that
are.
they have already done before, perhaps there might be some truth to that. But
Right.
you really have to think about that you might need at least 6 months of working capital before you open the door.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. I mean, we live and work in Coral Gables. You go to Miracle Mile all the time. You see a restaurant open in 1 month, and then the next they're not. And I have a feeling.
You have a feeling.
I have a feeling.
That is money laundering. No.
That could be.
That's a second option.
But obviously, you have high rents, and you also have inexperienced operators that are coming in, opening a restaurant without thinking about that you need a lot of working capital in order to sustain that business for 6 months to a year.
No,
if,
you know what
if it survives it.
Do you know what happens? They all walk into like Hillstone on Friday, and they
Yes.
go, "Oh my God, this is a cash cow."
Right.
If I have some good sushi rolls, I too can do this, And
Right.
yeah, little do they know.
That's why it's the only one that is still there. It's guaranteed to be there,
That place should be studied. I'm sure it is studied, but nobody's cracked the code. Nobody has cracked the code. But I also think here in South Florida specifically, exactly what you're saying, whether it's the whole immigration issue of like, oh, the E2 visa, whatever, if I can put a few people to work, so a restaurant seems like a really good business to start,
Right.
and they think they have experience running restaurants or whatever it is, we absolutely do see that, a certain type of business is hard to run, needs to break certain thresholds, to make sure that it's surviving. And people do not take those things into account. They are very optimistic, these business owners.
Very optimistic.
They're very visionary.
Yeah.
That's what they like to tell me.
Yeah.
I don't see their vision. I'm like, oh, that's adorable. That's excellent. Well, the IRS is also very optimistic about their valuations over your business.
They're
So-
extremely.
Extremely optimistic.
You almost think that they have like a stake as a shareholder, right? Because they really see a lot of future,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and they see that the business, their EBITDA is.
It's just
It's
shitty
definitely-
money.
it's
It's just so profitable. And therefore
definitely-
the market value is
Absolutely,
up here.
market value is it's a term of art, right?
Yes. Is it?
Which
Yes.
it was also an issue here in this case, because obviously different factions of the family viewed the assets at a different
For sure.
price.
For sure.
So they actually had to come to an agreement. There was a settlement agreement that they had reached through the litigation and everything else. I think they ended up valuing the Miami Dolphins at $68 million. So
That's after the debt and everything else.
and everything else. So
And some people weren't happy with that. Some
But it
people
was a
were
settlement
okay, but we have to. I mean, nobody's ever happy after.
we have to move on.
We do have to move on because guess who also doesn't care about your internal fighting and whether or not you sign that settlement agreement and all of those. IRS does not care.
They do not.
IRS does not care. Yeah.
They do.
And then imagine you're trying to get a valuation for something for estate tax purposes. And then on the other side, you're over here negotiating amongst yourselves and with a third party.
Yeah.
And if that number ends up being too separate from this number, well, we may have other issues.
Yeah,
We
you
may-
might have other issues. The IRS can come back and say, well,
Your valuation doesn't seem so reasonable anymore.
yeah, you
Because
have
now we know what fair market value was.
exactly.
We sold it.
So you have a duty of consistency, right? And
Not wink, wink, hello.
they want their fair share.
They do. And one thing is when you're not going to sell the asset, right, for a while and whatever, and you're getting valuations and your those valuations are an art. They're an art, and the valuators that we use understand what their job is, right? We're not using the mortgage guy at SunTrust Bank. No, that's not our valuator.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It's truest.
That's right, we're in their building. Just like Blockbuster, not here anymore. So, but that's all well and good, except that if you're trying to sell to a third party at the same time that you're trying to settle with the IRS, the shenanigans that you're going to be able to do are extremely limited,
Limited.
very limited. Because there's an admission against interest right over here. Like there's just
Right.
blatant, the number is the number of what you sold to Mr. Huizenga.
Right. Which is the same thing we encounter when we have a client that perhaps comes to you and they have offers to sell their company and they want you to do some planning now. and then the first question out of your mind will be, why didn't you come to me 6 months ago? And sometimes we're able to kind of diffuse some of that because
Or hopefully years ago.
right, but come
he's
on.
like before, Leslie. Come on. Let's be reasonable.
Let's be realistic here.
Yeah, don't be so Pollyanna and optimistic.
Yeah. Let's be realistic. So, I mean, we might be able to finagle some things. Perhaps we were able to kind of stretch some things. But at the end of the day, if you already have, a letter of intent, and the conditions are such that it is a done deal, guess what? Your valuation is already set. I don't need to get an appraisal.
Right.
That is the appraisal.
Right. We don't need, right. Or worse, which we have a client who sold a major part of his company. Now he's kind of silent. Nobody wants to know anything that his opinion is anymore. But he still has a small percentage. And they sold to Ducati. And so because they were getting it in tranches, it was like 4 million por aquí, 4 million next year. That is all like set in stone in a contract. So this is post-sale. That now they're like, can we do anything about this? Because, of course, the first tranche, like, ate him alive in taxes and what have you. And we're like, what do you mean? This is post, the whole thing is over. There is no negotiation. This happened years ago. What exactly, what rabbit out of a hat do you think I'm going to pull now, mijo? Like,
no.
Right. With, mind you, the attorneys were like, it wasn't negotiated. This was like Proskauer and Corbat. I'm like, CC, let me call your attorney in New York and say, get out of here. Like, get out of here with this, right? So, yeah.
That's not going to happen.
So you're right. 6 months, at least, maybe, something. Something.
But it's something that, like, perhaps maybe we need to do a better job of reminding them, hey.
Qué lindo. Aww. Buena gente.
That, hey,
We
whenever
have to do a better
something, if you're, going on the street to try to sell your company.
For gazillions of
perhaps
dollars.
you might want to ring me up
potentially.
and maybe we can do some planning at that point.
Sure. Maybe.
Look, honestly, the only ones I'm able to kind of do those is for clients that, they want to qualify for the small business stock, right?
Yes.
Because at least that requires planning ahead of time. And the client is already thinking that they want to exit, 7 years from now.
Right.
So for those clients, you're kind of able to do this
And they hear
more
through the
practically.
grapevine, whether it's, the ChatGPT or the Tickety. I don't know where they hear
ChatGPT.
it. They hear it somewhere that, yes, they need to do something years in advance or make sure they have a certain structure years. Like they hear this like little birdie in the background saying something that makes them at ease.
But it's because it's already tied to the money that they're going to get because they're going to exclude the capital gains.
Uh-huh.
So there's already
There's
a
different
component.
motivation. It's not an estate planning motivation. It is a straight up, I don't want to pay this income tax motivation.
Right.
So you're right. Yeah, the motivation is totally different. Totally different. So here we have the 3 kids.
Yep.
They want to sell to Huizenga. Everybody's arguing about how much. They settle for how much.
Yep.
And they sell.
They sold.
And some are happy, some are not happy. Mom's already gone.
I don't think anybody really ended up happy.
Nobody's happy.
Because at the end of the day, they kind of netted about $5 to $6 million each kid.
Can you imagine?
And that is
sad.
But
That is sad.
however, to put it into
There were 9 of them, though.
perspective.
Oh yeah, there was.
Okay, but to put it into perspective, this was the 90s. So $5 million or $6 million
Well invested in the
back
90s.
then.
In
That was a lot of money.
AOL, like the stock split when I was in like middle school or something. So like if they invested in AOL in the 90s.
So it would have been quite a bit of money regardless. It's just
It would have, pero coño,
it's not.
$5 million.
Yes.
Well, I mean, these poor kids, what are they going to do with $5 million? I mean, that's like chump cheech. I mean, that's like not.
But again, it was in the 1990s.
I understand. I
So if
understand.
you would have invested $5 million in the 1990s.
No. I mean,
to
if you
now?
would have bought half of Miami River in the 90s for $5 million,
Or-
you'd
Miami Beach, for that matter.
on
I
a
mean-
brickle.
So
The cows in Doral, like all of the cows in Doral.
all the cows in Miami Lakes.
For $5 million in the 90s.
Well, actually, they were already owned by the Graham family. So
Oh, wait, the ones in Doral, the one in Miami Lakes.
Miami Lakes.
Pero no, coño, the cows in Doral. There were no Venezuelans to all the
that
cows.
was back. That was really back. in the
That's
day.
really, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you could own City Center or whatever, Doral City Center. No, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I heard there's a cool place in Doral, but it's, I don't know. I don't leave Coral Gables. I
I have a 7-minute bubble.
Yes.
So I don't.
Yes.
And I have kids, so I don't leave. I really don't. I don't. You know,
Todavía.
yeah. I don't really go.
So,
Anyway.
what do you think? Because, of course, you and I can talk for hours. So, what do you think are some of the best lessons here
Yes.
for clients? I mean, you don't need to have, Robbie money. You don't
No.
need to have Joe. Although, what ended up Robbie money was not that much Robbie
Right.
money because no planning means,
Right.
everybody here got. Well, Mr. Huizenga was very appreciative
Oh.
of the gift he was given of fantastic football team.
Yeah, he
with
made a
this-
killing because
I
then he
mean,
sold it to Stephen Ross.
Yeah. Coño. How long did he own it? Was it like a decade? Was it like,
Something
por
like
lo
that.
menos, un poquito de respeto,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
He didn't like flip it.
The ink was dry.
He didn't, he didn't like freaking like do a flip in a year, did you?
No, the
Because
ink
that's
was
when
dry.
people are really pissed.
No, the ink was dry. The
Okay.
ink was dry.
I mean, if he held it for a decade, ¿qué más quieren? ¿Qué más
No,
quieren?
the
All right.
ink was dry. The ink was dry.
Got it.
So some of the very basic stuff, right? So life insurance.
That is probably the most, the biggest, I guess, opportunity here for
Right.
some liquidity, right? The easiest thing I tell our clients.
Yes.
I mean, I know a lot of the Latin American community doesn't love,
Yes.
generally, the concept of life insurance.
Well, because they also feel that the minute that they sign for the policy, they're gonna die the next day.
I mean, the chances do go up. I watch a lot of forensic files, but
But that usually
generally
speaking, that
it's
your
not
wife
much.
killed you.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
So, but it's only a slight uptick. It's
Just
not
keep her. Just make sure you keep her happy.
It's not significant, guys. It's not a significant increase in your mortality rate. So-
What statistics are you using for your studies here? I don't know, but
Okay.
but nevertheless, I mean, I think even maybe don't make it. If you're concerned about that your wife is going to kill you, then perhaps what you might want to do is a second to die.
That's right.
So that means that
That's right.
the insurance doesn't pay on the first death is when the second death occurs.
Yes.
Which is
To
perfect.
pay the insurance.
Right.
To pay
To pay
your
the estate tax.
insurance and to pay the estate tax.
Exactly. And it's cheaper because now you're insuring 2 lives instead of 1. And by the way, I'm not getting any commissions out of any insurance.
It's like I do not sell insurance.
I don't sell insurance.
No, but it is true, right? It's one of those strategies that you're like, before we start getting into complicated things, because this is one of the simpler strategies, the one that I feel like hurts the least. It's expensive, right? I mean,
Of course.
life insurance policies, especially at certain ages, are not cheap, right? But least expensive in that you're not paying us hundreds of thousands of dollars to do sophisticated estate tax vehicles and sales and da 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 da. You're paying for the insurance that's going to pay out and make
Right.
it liquid, right? So
Correct.
it's
And
painless. It's more painless.
There's a lot of different strategies that can even tie it with
For
life
sure.
insurance. For example, there's premium finance. So perhaps if somebody doesn't have the liquidity to pay the premiums, they can borrow. They can basically set up a structure where their policy is basically kind of paying itself.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we have a client that has sufficient assets to prove, to
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
provide collateral.
I was going to
it
say,
is-
this is not for those of us that live in Miami Lakes.
This is
This is
not
for
a
the Hialeah,
this is not
pobreza. No,
right. But hey, this is for But honestly, with the estate tax exemption as high as we have it now, when we're really talking about a client that is really going to be exposed to the estate tax, it's going to be usually those
Exactly.
clients that have significant assets and that have that exposure to the estate tax. So it kind of makes sense to kind of do that, especially if we have clients that perhaps their income is not sufficient to pay these premiums.
Right.
Because, I mean, these policies are usually very big. I'm talking about,
Yeah.
$25 million policy, 35, 45.
Yeah.
Those kinds of
I've
things.
never seen less than 15 million, actually. I don't think.
I mean, I have one in the office right now for $75 million policy.
Coño.
So, again,
Yeah.
significant.
Usually incomes at that level is,
Yeah.
Especially you've slowed down, if we're talking about this kind of legacy planning, they're not in like
Yeah.
the peak of their entrepreneurial stage.
No, this client is in their 50s.
Oh, wow.
But we're just making sure we're planning ahead because
You already see the road.
there's
Clearly.
the state tax liability is already there.
Yeah.
So we're just basically trying to
Mitigate some.
right. So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that you can do with that. There's PPLI. I mean, obviously there's a lot of sophisticated structures dealing with insurance. But I mean, it could have been a simple benefit.
Place,
The better, the younger you get it.
The
Obviously,
cheaper.
the cheaper you can get it. You can even convert some term policies into permanent life insurance. So there's a lot of planning that if you take a look at it holistically, you can basically arrange your
Absolutely.
whatever issues you're trying to get. Most of the people our age probably get life insurance for a completely different reason. They're getting it basically to replace an income in case somebody dies prematurely. But for our clients, with significant assets, we use them more from a tax liability planning.
Yeah. I mean, for sure, what we're talking about now is for that purpose, right?
And make sure you don't own it in your name. Okay?
Make sure.
Because we're only compounding the problem if you own the policy in your own name.
Wow. Hashtag fail.
Yes.
As the kids say. Hashtag fail, guys.
You get a $25 million policy.
Eso ya sería.
And Pepito owns it, and Pepito dies.
Wow.
Well, we have whatever assets he already had, plus a $25 million policy. Because even though you don't have the $25 million in your hand, the IRS says, $25 million. So, yes, make sure that it's not in your
That'd be
name.
terrible.
You create an irrevocable life
That would
insurance
be
trust.
terrible.
You put it in there. You even have what I usually advise clients, and I'm sure you do the same, is before you even sign on the dotted line, you get the ILIT, the insurance trust created.
That's right.
Have the trustee sign for the policy. That way it
That's
was never in your hands.
That's
Because then we have to look at a 3-year,
Then you need to survive the 3 years.
Right. So, you look both ways before you cross the street.
Más te vale. Más te vale.
Because otherwise it's going to be brought back into your estate. So,
Otherwise, we just got a bigger problem.
yes.
You paid money to get a bigger problem.
Exactly.
That
So,
is
nobody's going to be happy about that.
No.
So, except the
No,
IRS.
I was gonna say the IRS and the insurance guy will still be happy.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, he
Because
did
he already
his-
got paid.
Yeah. He or she did their
Well,
job.
but he
Not
gets
their fault.
Yeah,
Not their fault.
He gets paid the minute he gets
Absolutely.
the first year's premium. So
He's gonna be thrilled, but you not so much. So I would definitely say insurance is one of those things that it just feels painless from the perspective of no, you still have to pay for it, obviously.
Right.
But from the day-to-day management of your companies and everything you're trying to grow and any trámite that you're trying to do with the bank or refinance, like everything stays the same. You get to continue doing what you're doing as a business owner without too much intertangling and intertwining of anything else. So it is quite the
no, I mean, and that's
attractive
probably
strategy.
super attractive. Other things that can be considered is also take into account, especially when you're already like Joe Robbie, that he was at that age. Start thinking about professional management for your company, right? And start thinking about, can my kids really run this?
Yeah.
And do
That
I
business
really
succession planning, the really thinking
right?
through.
Should they own it equally? Because perhaps, especially from what I read, it was a contentious family to begin with. So you're basically setting them up for failure from the very beginning if you're leaving everything in equal shares.
Yeah.
So perhaps
Equal is not fair.
It is
in
not
family
necessarily.
businesses.
And if you have perhaps, many times we have clients that maybe some of their kids already work in the business.
And
I'm
some
like,
don't.
And some don't, right?
Some don't
And
want-
so,
at least during life, don't want to have anything to do with it.
right. And perhaps never, because perhaps that person became a doctor and the other one became a lawyer. And there's one that actually is day-to-day running the company, right?
Right.
So
Right.
if you leave things to them equally, I'm actually going through that specifically with the client right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you are going to create an issue here.
For
So you need to make sure that the your daughter that runs the business has a way to buy out her siblings.
Right.
And how are we going to fund that? Because
Yeah.
then we have to think about how much the company is worth. Does it have liquidity to pay those siblings out?
Yep.
And if not, have you considered selling your company? Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Thinking through those type of things from a very practical perspective, okay? Porque el papel aguanta todo, as we say, right? Like, we could draft the most beautiful business succession plans and the most fantastic trusts and everything else. But if everybody's going to sue each other the second dad dies because nobody is happy with what's going on here, these things have to be thought through practically. We want to understand the dynamics in the family, for sure. Like sometimes I'm not asking you all about your family just to be nosy. I really want to understand the day-to-day of what's going on in a family business. I want to know who's doing certain things in a family business. I want to know who didn't get the pony, whatever it is. I mean, I kid you not, because now really thinking through, what's going to happen the second dad or mom or whoever dies, really important. Really important.
And again, it's because
¿Quién bajó, eh?
usually the patriarch or the matriarch is the zookeeper.
Yes.
It's the one keeping all the animals.
I'm forever going to think about Saidin and his cattle prod.
Well, but it's true. They're the ones. They do it with guilt or whatever, what our parents do to us, which is basically they cajole us into making sure that everybody behaves, right? But the moment that person is no longer there, then all the resentment and everything comes to light. And then so you have to, it's like,
Everything.
you can ask,
Everything.
but every single little thing is going to be an affront, or it's going to be
problem.
like, they don't want to talk to me, or so, really, I've been advising a lot of clients. I'm like, look, if there's a market for your company.
Who are we selling to?
Yes.
Who are we selling to?
Right.
Yeah.
Who, think about that.
Yeah.
And perhaps sell it while you're still alive, and maybe you get to enjoy some of the money instead of just continuously, reinvesting and never getting a cent out, right? So,
And sometimes the conversation también of like, stop being so Pollyanna. So I don't even know where that saying comes from, but that was told to me by Ernie the attorney, who says that there's a 1960s movies about a little girl who thinks everything is puppies and sunshine and Obamacare or something. Like everything is wonderful. So the saying is, don't be so Pollyanna. So now I'm saying it. Like I learned so much on this podcast, you see? So don't be so Pollyanna to really think that this family business is going to continue in the way it's going to continue. And being so closed off to, no, I don't want it sold. I don't want it. Yeah. But when you dig in a little deeper, there's absolutely no way these people are going to work with each other. So if they can't buy each other out, this is not going to work.
Right. So there's got to be a mechanism for people to be able to buy each other out, especially if we have kids that work in the business and other ones that don't.
Yeah. Because no matter how much I think you try to make somebody a passive, shareholder, joden demasiado.
Of course.
They find ways. Great lawyers in town.
Yes.
Que van a joder demasiado.
Of course.
And it's going to make everybody's life a little.
And they want to have a say when they probably have no idea because,
Sure. And they're going to sue you for breach of fiduciary duty.
Right.
When, they don't even know what the hell's going on inside of the business. They never have, but now they want to know.
But then now
every dinner you went to.
They're a shareholder.
Now they're a shareholder.
So.
Yes.
So they have appraisal rights.
They want
have
to see
the
books
right to financial
weekly.
statements.
They want to see the books weekly.
So yeah, all those things come to
like
light.
a bad partner.
Yes, all those things come to light. So avoid those kind of situations, and perhaps even
you have to become very
set it up.
realistic at a certain point about your business and about your family and what that dynamic is. Because trying to heal those wounds, when all your kids are 60, usually doesn't work.
I don't know about your practice, but I have to say the happiest clients that I have are the people that sold their business, because they feel like a load has been just taken off their shoulders, especially when they're thinking about succession plans. Yeah. Like, which one of my kids? And then they're, many times they'll come, and tell you, well, I have a pothead kid, so do I really want to leave the business to that person? So again, it's just by giving that issue to somebody else.
Yes. The hot potato.
or there's a lot of creative stuff that you can do there. Maybe you sell it to your employees, right? You can do
Sure, a nice ESOP. I hear
exactly,
it's all the rage
ESOPs.
these days.
ESOPs.
My engineering firm did an ESOP. To this day, I still don't know what happened to my money. I still want to know what happened to my money, Console Tech.
So yeah, I mean, those are, there's a lot of things you can you can explore, selling to your employees, bringing in professional management so that everybody's out.
Everybody's out and everybody's well fed. The zoo,
Yes.
the zoo animals are well fed. They're happy.
Hey, I'm gonna want to trademark this. The zookeeper with the prod.
The zookeeper with the rod and the animals are well fed.
Yes.
Todo el mundo está feliz. We could each get equal amounts of whatever. The lions get their, I don't know, raw meat, and the hyena, I don't know whatever.
Well, I think hyenas also eat raw meat.
Everybody gets whatever they want to
Exactly.
eat, right? They each get their $5 million. I can't believe they only got $5 million. This is hurtful. This is a little
Between
hurtful.
$5 and $6 million.
This kind of sucks. It really does suck. But Mr. Huizenga seems to be, and the IRS made out like bandits. So that's what happens when you don't plan, people.
Yes.
The IRS and whoever is going to come feast on the carcass of your business are the ones that are going to be happy.
Yep.
So any last words for our podcast audience, Saidin?
I think we've spoken for a long time.
We did. That's why people
kind of-
only watch the clips. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't listen to us.
That's
Like,
okay.
we think we're entertaining, but the stats would say otherwise. And only the clips get a lot of views, not necessarily the whole
I get it.
audio. Understandable.
I get it.
Understandable, maybe. So as my old boss used to say, estate planning is not only for gazillionaires, but they should get planning too.
Yes.
This is what I him say that, and at the time I was like, what do you mean by that? It was a silly first year that didn't know any better, and now I absolutely understand how all of these celebrities all find themselves, at least the ones we talk about on this podcast, find themselves in these situations. But that is all for today. On another episode of Having Fun with Death and Taxes, we will have all of Saidin's information all over the Spotify and the YouTube,
Spotify.
and the Apple podcast and the Tickety Talk, everywhere.
Tickety Talk.
Your information will be everywhere on the Tickety Talk and the Instagrams.
Well,
and the,
thank you.
Well, we're about the same age. I have my Facebook is like for real. Like my Facebook is like, that's me. On my Facebook. Okay, everything else, I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
control that. You don't
I don't
control
know
that.
what's happening with the rest of it, but you can find him and all of his information there. And we will see you next time for another episode of Having Fun with Death and Taxes.
Thank you.